going to just do a dummy demo. Now player 0 has won this round, unlike the other one, player 1 has had one. So this is what we're building today. So I'm assuming most of you guys are already familiar with the basics of HTML and CSS. So I'm not really majoring on building the whole interface. I have these templates I'm going to use here today. So we will only be working with this index.js file. And I'm going to share the Git repo to where you can find all these resources. Let me just let me fetch the link. Is everybody listening or alone? Are you guys around?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sharing the link to the GitHub repo of the whole project, and everything is inside this repo. You can always find it there. So this is everything.
Yes.
Okay. So well, I used this name here, veteran.js, and I think it's a good idea just use the same name here so that you don't get confused when you're looking at my repo. So hold on a minute. Let me just change that name. Is it veteran? Okay. So the name is veteran.js. So I'm going to just run this whole project here with the Atom Live server, just to see what is happening before we can dive into the JS. Okay, you can see the game doesn't look that much because I removed the CSS file. This index.css, it's not loaded on this HTML. So, okay, I mostly prefer loading it here. I'm gonna do a link and maybe we can make sure for index.css. And now we have this interface. You can see there's no functionality, nothing. Yeah. So this is what I'm starting from. I'm starting from here. I'm building on the logic. So the thing we just want to start off with is just load the veteran.js, the JS file. It's not loaded on this HTML file, so I'm just going to load it just here. This is Atom Live server. It should refresh automatically, but since we don't still have the functionalities and it's empty, so I don't know how many people are here right now. I want to start. Okay, I think 22 is enough. I'm going to close this. If in case you like my work, you can follow me on GitHub. Yeah. I'm going to close this window. I'm just going to reduce these ones to just the age and yeah, we're going to work with this too. So I'm starting. The first thing I want to do is declare some variables here. I'm going to start with these two buttons here, the retry and the cancel button. So as you can see, each and every one of them has the class buttons, and then there's this other class which distinguishes between the first one from the second one. So I'm gonna define, let me just call it retry button, and just do document.query selector. And I'm going to pass in the class name I want to fetch. It should be retry, I guess. Retry, yeah, it's retry. So I'm going to also define the cancel button. I'm gonna do document.query selector, and I'm just gonna pass in the class name I'm supposed to look for. It should be cancel, yeah, cancel. Just to be sure, I'm just gonna log them into the console. And hold on a minute. Let me just open my console. Am I audible, guys?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you realize I misspelled the word query selector. I'm gonna replace that. Selector on the, it should be selector. Yeah, you can see they're being logged, the button, the console button, and the retry button. They're being logged, and you can see when I highlight the first, the second button, it's highlighted on my DOM, and the second button is also highlighted on the DOM. I'm just gonna clear this out and remove the console statement here. So I want to add some functionality to both of the two buttons. I'm going to start with the retry button. Retry button, and I'm just gonna do add event listener. I'm adding an event listener to this button. So the type of event listener I'm adding is the click event listener, and I'm going to attach it to an arrow function which takes a parameter e, and the body is here. I'm also going to define the other button and add an event listener to it, and the event listener is the click event listener, and an arrow function with this body here. None of them has anything right now, so I'm going to start with this button here. So what I want this button to do, the retry button, I want it to set every square to be nothing. The content of each and every square to be nothing, to be blank. So I'm going to just define a new variable here. I'm going to call it square. You realize each and every square on this board has a class called square. This is the square, this is the square, this is the square. All of them are a square class. So I'm going to just do let square. Let me just call it all squares. And I'm going to do a document.query selector. This is querying all of the elements with this class name, which is a square. Just to confirm, I'm going to log it into the console and see if in case I have something on that variable. Yeah, you can see I have a list of nodes, which is node. Okay, square with the 1, 2, 3. Okay. Wow. I hope you understand what I mean. It's each and every square on the table. So you can see when I hover on each and every one of them, it's selected on the other side. Do you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So we have selected all the squares from the table, this table. So I've selected all the squares here, and I have them stored in a variable. The variable was called all squares. If in case anybody has a question, you can always ask. If in case you are not so comfortable asking, you can.
Done.
Yeah.
Are the squares stored in an array? Where are they stored?
It's an array actually. I said queries. Let me just increase my screen size. I said query selector, query all of the elements with the class selector. It's going to return an array.
Oh, yeah.
So as I was saying, if in case anybody has a question, you can always ask on the comment section, or maybe you can speak up and you answer your questions. So we are going to proceed. So as I told you, we have all the squares selected, and I've stored them in a variable called all squares. So what I want to do right now is reset everything inside those squares to nothing. Let me just do something here so that you will understand my next step. I'm just gonna do hello on the first square. Is it the first square? No, it's the fourth. So it's here. So each and every element, I'll set the content to be nothing. And like the word hello right now, you'll see how it fits in. Let me just write the code. So I'm going to look through this variable here. I'm gonna copy this and write a for loop. each and every loop has that. I hope you guys are familiar with the for loop. I hope I'm not going very fast. I need acknowledgement. You guys are okay with the for loop, or should I explain the structure? I'm assuming the silence means you guys are okay with it, so I'm going to move to the next step. So whenever I say all squares with the index I, the index I is a variable that is incrementing every time from 0 onwards to the length of the variable all squares. So if so this is the variable. Each and every square is going to have an index inside the all squares variable. So if in case I do in HTML, I'll get the content of each and every square. So in case I want to reset it, I'm going to set it to nothing, like that. So let me just do something crazy here. I'm gonna do hello there. It's gonna write hello. When I click this button, it's supposed to clear it out. You can see there's nothing anymore. Hello, and clearing it out. We have that. So I'm going to stop playing around with that. That is the basic functionality. We're going to add some few things later. I don't want to get into that right now because I don't want to confuse anybody. So, well, this section, I think it was exiting the whole window, the game. So whenever you click this button, you're supposed to be calling this function that close. This one will close the window. I'm going to duplicate a new, the same window, and I'm going to click that button. It's going to close it. That is the function.
So done.
Me. Sijokana mauza na kifo, hadi ni super. Right.
Hello everyone. It seems done. Amepoteza connection kidogo, but he'll be back. He'll be back in a few. Yeah, I'm around. Does anyone have a question so far on the array, the for loop, the logic? Yeah, feel free to turn on your mic. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I think there's someone who had asked quick explanation on the for loop.
Or for loop? Okay, so a for loop, basically what a for loop does, it repeats a set of lines code a specific number of times. So before it comes back, let me demonstrate. So can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to create a new file. So what a for loop does, let's create a for loop. We'll initialize a variable. For example, x, this x is 0. We want this for loop to run, let's say 10 times. So what we shall do, we'll say the loop should run so long as x is less than or equal to 10. And then after that, we increment x. This means x plus 1. So here is where we put our code. Let's do console log.
Content to each and every section here. I'm going to add an event listener to each and every button, each and every square. So we, hold on a minute. I'm going to just write, I'm going to add a for loop. I have that for loop there. I'm referring to these squares. I'm going to change them. And I'm going to do add event listener, click event listener, attach it to this function. I'm gonna say, there's something I need to tell you guys here. This event listener receives the click event. In that click event, there's an attribute called target. Target will give you the element that caused the event listener to fire. I'm going to console log this one so that you guys can see what I'm talking about. I'm going to open my console. So I'm going to click each and every square has its own event listener. It's returning the element with respect to the position, all those kind of stuff. So with that, we can add something to appear on the screen whenever any of these squares is clicked. So right now I'm just going to just write X to display on the screen on in my HTML, and I'm gonna do X. So as you can see, we have the functionality of adding each and every element every time any button is clicked here. So there's one thing we notice when we are doing this thing, it doesn't know when an X is supposed to be placed there and an O to be placed the next square you click. So I'm going to add that in a few minutes, but before I go any further, I'm gonna define more variables here. I'm going to define the variable turn, and it's going to be by default initialized to 0. And I'm going to also define the game over variable. I'm setting it to false by default. So the variable is going to be used to control to control the script, enabling every part of the program to notice in case the game was over or not. So I'm going to show you in a bit, don't worry. So we have this. So, well, I'm going to add another condition here. If turn is equals to 0, we know it's the first player. So I'm gonna do the target .HTML, and I'm setting it to X. We said the first player is taking the X. Oh, the second player, sorry, taking an O. Hold on. The first player is player 0 and takes an O. So this one is the first player. I'm going to initialize this to O. And if in case it's the second player, I'm going to have an else statement. Obviously, we have only 2 players here. I'm gonna copy this section, pasting it here, and changing this to X. So one of the things I'm supposed to adjust here is the turn variable. I'm supposed to change it to an alternate value. It's supposed to be 0, either 0 or a 1. So because here it is a 0, I'm setting it to 1. Because here it's a 1, okay, the else statement says that this one is not a 0, so it's going to execute this section, which means it's a 1. I'm setting it back to 0. So let me just open my browser. You can see it alternating back and forth. I hope everybody's okay with that section. If in case anybody has a question, you can pop in. Any question? Okay, I'm assuming we are good. So we have that functionality right now, but before we go any further, I'm going to, okay, should mute your mic. So I'm going to use the variable game over, variable game over. If not game over, I mean like the game has not ended, you should implement the logic. Okay, hey, I don't know who's speaking, who's that? Kindly, in case it's you, just mute your mic. So what I meant was this is a negation statement. Kindly mute your mic. So I'm negating the statement if not game over. Not game over means that it's going to be false. I hope you guys understand the logic behind it's not game over.
Excuse me, Dan, excuse me, just 1 minute.
Okay.
Hi, Bernard. Hello, Bernard.
Mumta. I think it's been removed, don't worry. Just don't worry, just forget about him. Yeah, we should just proceed.
Dan, who is sharing screen? Are you the one?
Yeah, is there any other person sharing the screen?
Pauline Da Silva. Somebody, Mateo. Are you the Mateo?
Not really.
I'm seeing 2 screens here, so I don't know which screen is sharing.
Who exactly is it? You can't see that person.
I can see Pauline the Silva, Machero Silva, somebody.
Okay, we can continue. I think he's been removed.
Well, kindly guys, let's maintain order. Actually, let's maintain order. Kindly. I don't continue kindly.
Oh, you guys can see my screen now?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, so I'm proceeding. Oh, we have the functionality. Whenever you click any of the squares, you have each and every section responding. But you can see, whenever I click another square with something, it always inserts something else. We might want to change that. Okay, hold on a minute. Each and every time this button is clicked, I need to check whether the square is already occupied or not. So I'm going to add an if statement here, and for the first player, I'm going to say if e.target dot inner HTML is not equal to nothing, you should let the user telling them that it's an invalid move. We're gonna fix this later and place it in the snack bar, the one I showed you earlier. We're gonna do that later, but for now we're gonna just leave it like this. And I'm going to just do an else statement here and press the content. The same case happens to this section here. I'm doing if e.target, and I'm saying that, is it supposed to be a double equal sign? Not so sure. I think we'll just go with a double equal sign. We have to say the inner HTML and not equal to say nothing, and I'm going to do an alert. Invalid move. I'm going to have an else statement executing the same logic. So you can see it says an invalid move since it's already occupied. I think that is good for now. Gonna do something else to make the alert go away, and we have something like a snack bar here just displaying the invalid move error. Okay, well, it's time we get down to the logic. Hold on a minute. So what is remaining here is just detecting whether any of the users is already has their pieces in this order, the diagonal, or maybe in any of the rows. I'm going to implement the logic in steps. I'm going to start with the diagonal. So I'm going to define a variable. I'm going to call it diagonal. I'm going to call it diagonal here. And I'm going to query something here. Give me a second. So we know the diagonals are just this square, hold on, this square, and this square, and the other side also is this square, and this square. So I am going to hard code the column names. No, the square names. Yeah, I'm I'm gonna do an array. This is a, hold on. It has a class of 1. We have 2, 3. I'm gonna use this one, the next square in the diagonal, this diagonal. It's there, this one, and then it should be this. This is 4, I guess 4, or is it 5? This is 5 and 9. Let's sure. Let me just confirm. It's this 1, 5, and 9. Yeah, those. Those squares, yeah. I'm going to use the all squares variable to select each and every one of those diagonals. So as you know, indexing starts from 0. So this one is going to be index 0. The next one is going to be index 4. And then last diagonal is going to be, is it index 8? Yeah, it's supposed to be index 8. Did I add something here? Yeah. It's supposed to be index 8. So I have the first diagonal. I'm going to call it diagonal 1. Yeah, and I'm going to do the same for diagonal 2. Diagonal 2 starts from, this is index 2. Yeah, index 2. Index 4 remains since it's the convergence point of both the two diagonals. So this is index 4 still. And the last one is going to be index, is it 7? Let me just confirm. It's going to be this and 7. Yeah, 7. This is supposed to be here. 7 is going to be 6. Hold on. So let me just control all of these two. So we have 1, 5, 9. You can see the second array. We just have it in a new line. Wow. So we have the first array, 1, 5, and 9. This one is going to be 3, 5, and 7. We should be good. So I think we can use the 2 right now. I'm going to create a function. I'm going to just call it diagonal check. I'm just going to call it that name. I hope my screen is visible to everybody. I'm going to do an arrow function. I'm going to look through let me just combine the two diagonals to be one. This is another array on top of another array. Hope you guys are okay with that. I'm gonna do that. Let me just increase my screen size and yeah, let everything fit in. Diagonals. Calling it diagonals and yeah. So let me just format this. We have this. The first diagonal is here. Yeah. So the first diagonal, second diagonal. This is an array of an array, two-dimensional array. So I'm going to look through the diagonals. So this one, diagonals with index I, is going to be giving me this row 1 or row 2, depending on the value of I. So I'm going to use the return property for if statement. So I'm going to assign it to the variable game over. I'm going to do this this is a I'm supposed to have a condition here that's going to determine which value to return to that game over variable. So I'm going to just use the shorthand property. We just use the question mark, and the first result is either true or false. So if this condition evaluates to true, if this condition here evaluates to true, it sets the game over variable to true. So let me just define the variable, the conditions here, so that you can understand the logic behind true or false statements that is being assigned to the variable game over. So there's something I need to define here first before I proceed any further. I'm gonna say current player is equals to, we have the turn variable. We can continue. So we have this is the first row, the first index. I'm going to specify index 0. This is index 0 for now. This is an array, so I'm specifying index 0. So index 0 dot inner HTML. So I am asking it to check whether inner HTML of index 0 is equivalent to, let me just define a new variable here. I think it's a good idea, define it on top. So I'm just gonna call it player symbol. I'm setting it to nothing. I don't initialize it to anything. And I'm doing if. Okay, hold on. Player symbol. I'm going to return either an X or an O, depending on the current player's turn. So I'm gonna do this question mark. I hope you guys are okay with the shorthand property. Even in case anybody has a problem, you can raise the issue and I'll try to explain. So if in case the turn variable is equals to 0, means it is the first player. The first player was O. And if in case it's not equal to 0, return X. I hope you guys are okay with the logic here. Player symbol. I need to assign this to a variable. Yeah, and I'm asking. Give me a second. Let me just confirm. So this is the first player. Okay, so we are proceeding. So I'm confirming if in case let me just use this section here. So let's say we are in this first diagonal. If in case I have the first player, which is represented by an O, I'll just check whether this square in along this diagonal line is 0. Then check the next one and the next one. If that fails, I'm going to check the other diagonal. That is the functionality of this function I created here. So I'm checking it against the first index of the each and every diagonal, and I'm going to just add an and check the next index of the current diagonal, in case it is equivalent to the current symbol. I'm going to also do for position 3. We have position 1, 0, 1, 2. 0 is the index. 0, index 0, index 1, index 2. This is the index in this variable. The first row, the first row and the second row. Sorry. I hope you guys are not lost. I think this should be fine, apart from the fact that I have this error line 13. And the thing says unexpected identifier. Hold on a minute, let me confirm what's happening here. So this is a, oh look, let me just remove this for now. Let me confirm what is really going on. On line 13. What's up with line 13? Hey guys, do you guys see any error on my code? This line 13 says an identified identifier. Right. This is the diagonal. Let me just redefine this variable. Let diagonal type narrow function. We see we still have the error. I don't know, is it supposed to be a constant?
Done.
Yep.
Maybe I think it expects to return something.
I don't think so. Does it?
It expects to return something. Otherwise, go back to the error. Okay, go back to the error. See.
I think the problem is this array. I don't know which section is in. Oh, okay. Let me just check this array. I think this is the problem. Since you can see it says now constant is unidentified. Earlier it was talking about, I think it was curly braces or something. Let me just test back the logic and we can look at this in detail. Let me just remove this section and see. You can see it's okay. I think it's it's this array that has problems. Oh yeah, there's the last square bracket I forgot here. It wasn't there the last array. You know, this was the square bracket for the indexing. Yeah, I think this should be fine. You can see the array is gone now. Don't know if in case we still have any problem there. I think we're okay. So it's checking the diagonals. I'm going to leave this for now. We're going to come back and adjust some few things. We're going to add some constraints, but for now I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to move to row by row checking, whether a player has won the game just in terms of the rows. I'm going to just define the variable constant and the row check. I'm going to call it row check. I'm going to give it an arrow function. So you realize that each and every row here is okay. Let me just do this. Okay, so I mean, like each and every row has 3 elements. So the first row has this, and this. So I have wrapped it in a div with a class name of row 1, row 2, and row 3. I can query all the rows from the HTML or from the JavaScript side here and assign them to, let me just call the variable rows and to document the query selector. And I'm going to do all. I'm going to select all the rows. I'll confirm this by console logging it to the screen, and we see how we see the content of that variable. Yeah, it says that we have nothing. I think it is row, not rows. I said rows here. Yeah, so we have a list of rows here. It's the first row. This is the first row, second row, and the third row. So we have that. So where is the, let me just remove this console and come to this section here. I'm going to look through all the rows. So for the first row, For the first row, we know we have 3 elements. This one, and this one. So we know we have the 3 elements I told you about, this one, and this one. So this is the ith row with the index. So I'm going to, let me think of a better way of doing the selection of each and every row. Hold on, we have row 1, we have row 2, and we have row 3. I'm going to define the current row variable. I'm going to define it as a global variable, the current row. So with this current row, I'm going to assign it on each and every iteration. So the current row is this one. This is the current row. To get all the child squares, I'm going to do a query selector on this current row to give me all the children. I'm going to define another variable here. I'm going to call it child rows. Just for simplicity here, I'm going to do current child rows is equals to current rows dot query selector. I'm doing all, and I'm selecting all the children with the class square. So we are selecting the current row. Inside the current row, we look for all the class square. So I'm going now to define my variable, the game over variable. I'm going to assign it to the output of this shorthand of an if statement, if else statement actually. So I'm going to do the current row. Okay, it's child rows. I'm gonna do child rows. The first child row is gonna be at index 0. I'm gonna do inner HTML. I think I'm forgetting something. Hold on. Yeah, this variable here. I hope you guys don't have a problem with me copying this section. So I'm going to use this variable to determine who's the current player. I think it's a good idea in case we define it out of, we alter the loop. I'm gonna define it here as well. So we have the player symbol. I'm gonna say if the hold on player symbol. If the content of the first child row is equal to the player symbol, and then chain it to another another comparison statement. Child rows at index 1. We know the children rows are 3, 3, 3. So I'm going to do index 0, 1, and 2. So I'm going to do inner HTML is equals to current player symbol. I realize I even dropped symbol in a very drastic way, but it's a variable, so don't worry. So I have to find the first, the 0th row, the first, and I need to define the second row, the second square in that row. It should be index 0, index 1, index 2. Okay. I'm gonna do this player symbol. Oh, the logic is adding up. Hold on, let me just confirm. Okay. Let me just call each and every function here. I'm going to call it each and every time we assign some content to the element. I'm going to just do multiple selection, and I'm going to call, let me just start with the diagonal because we had finished the diagonal checking. I'm going to just confirm if in case, I'm going to do this section here. If in case the game is over, I'm going to let the user game over. Just for the sake of that section. Let me just do, it's not working. Let me go back. Oh, I realize we don't have a diagonal matching. Let me just do that. We have that diagonal, it missed. Okay, let me just go back and debug that line, that section. So this section is the part that has a problem. Let me just close this section and do diagonals with this section, this one. Let me just rewrite this section. If turn is equals to, this is the first layer. I'm just gonna do game over is equals to this. In this condition, returning true or false. I'm gonna do give me a second. I'm looking at this thing here. Let me just have this in a follow and diagonals. I'm going to take diagonals. I'm going to define the if statement, and I'm going to do current. Did I say current what? Current diagonal? I'm just going to use it like that. Yes. I'm going to just do this. This is the first diagonal or the second diagonal, depending on there. So for each and every diagonal, there's another array of the items. This section, this section, this section, this one, this one, and this one. So I'm going to do index 0. HTML. I'm going to compare it, since we know class 0 has the symbol X. It has that symbol, and the other player has the X variable, the X symbol. I'm just gonna do and. This is the first index. I'm gonna do another and I'm gonna do index 2. So we will know either in case the player has won this game or has lost it. This is going to assign it to the game over variable, which we will be checking later at the bottom of the script. I'm going to just do something here first. I'm going to define this if statement, and I'm going to check if in case the game over variable is set to true, which means the game is over. I should stop the loop. I'm going to break, and I'm going to break we had an if statement somewhere. Give me a second. Did I miss something? Hold on. Oh, right. I'm undoing. I think the code is supposed to be here, not here. You guys never even told me I was doing the row checking instead of the diagonal. I think where we got lost was from that point there. So we have checked, and I'm going to check now in case it is game over. I'm gonna do a break. And okay, I don't know in case I need to do a return, but we can do it later in case there are problems. So I'm gonna do it for the other layer turn is equals to 1. So we know that we are supposed to set the game over variable to this value, either true or false. I'm going to define the condition. I'm gonna do diagonal. Is it diagonals? Index I. I'm gonna do the no. First diagonal or the second diagonal. I'm gonna do inner HTML and maybe compare it with the X since the other one is an O for the first layer. This is the second layer. Hold on. I'm gonna copy this section and repeat the same, but I'm going to change the index. It's gonna be 1, and the next index is gonna be 2. And I'm going to test it even in case it's game over, and I'm gonna break. Before I break, I can do an alert and say this game over. Game over. No, I'm gonna log it. I'll just do an alert. I'm saying game over. I'm gonna say player. I'm gonna say Tom won this round. I think this should be fine. So turn is represented by either 0 or 1. I said player 0, 1, player 1, 1. I'm not so sure. In case we should be good to go. Let me just confirm in case the logic is adding up. Okay. Did I call it here? I'm checking the diagonals of both the two conditions. Let me just refresh. Oh, I realized I'd never paid attention to the diagonals. Yeah, okay. At least we have that function working. I hope you guys are still following. Hey guys, hope you guys are following. I'm going to proceed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope I've not confused anybody with my bugs. So as you have seen, we have confirmed that it was working for the diagonals. You can see game over player 1 won this round. Player 1 we had said is represented by an X. So you can see the match there. Let me just do for player 0. Oh, you realize that this thing, I'm trying to restart the game and it says that game over. We're gonna fix that later. I'm just gonna skip this section for now. And we have this one working. I'm gonna do it for this one. I guess I have to rewrite it again. Sorry for that. I think I screwed some few things up, but I think it should be fine. So I hope you guys are okay up to this point.
We're following.
Okay. So I'm going to do for the rows, each and every row. For each and every row, we have this. I'm gonna just assign the output of this if-else statement to that variable. And you guys, if in case you have a question, you can always ask. Okay. So I want to compare. You realize that this rows is a two-dimensional array. Is it? Let me confirm. Log of rows. Did I forget something? 37, line 37. Let me just leave that like that for now. Oh, I think it's one-dimensional. I have to just do an extra step there. I'll just define the child roles, and I'll just use them to test the condition. So I'm going to say child rows, the variable I have defined at the top of the script, and I'm going to do the current row index I, and I'm doing a query selector all over the children with a square class name. So you realize that the first row is going to give me the first row, this one. And when I do query selector with the class square, it's going to give me each and every element to the class square. So it's going to give me each and every rows, all children element to the class square. So it's actually, this is going to return me, it's an array. So I'm going to use this array to test the condition here. I'm going to say child rows. I'm going to do index 0. We have 3 indexes for each and every row. We have this, this, and this. For each and every row, that is the same parent. So I'm going to do child rows. At index 0, I'm going to do inner HTML. But before I go any further, I'm going to just remove this. I need to test which user is the current player. If in case it is 0, we know it's the first player. In case we get this condition not evaluated, we go to the else statement, which means it's the second player. So I'm going to redefine the variable. I'm going to assign it to the output of this if-else shorthand. Okay, so I'm doing child rows at index 0, but inner HTML. I'm just gonna do, we know plus 0 has the symbol set to O. I'm gonna compare it with an O. I'm going to copy and paste this section, and I'm going to be changing the index. So we have index 0, index 1. I'm gonna do index 2. Yeah. So if in case each and every condition here, this one evaluates to true, then this one evaluates to true, then this one evaluates to true, it's going to return a true statement here saying that the game is over and we should quit, and we should declare the winner, just like the same case we did here. So I'm going to do an if game over statement, and we are going to break. So I'm just going to do if game over. I'm going to do going to alert. Let me just copy that. I'm alerting. I'm going to alert game over player, the current player with this okay, the value in equal with this variable. It's going to be either player 0 or 1, so it's going to declare it here. So it's going to say game over player, either 1 or 0 won this round. And I want to break. I don't want to continue with this for loop here. So since we have finished with the logic with this first player with the index 0, we are going to do here's the other player. It should be either, I think it should be index 1. Let me just confirm something. Okay, I think we should be good. We should just proceed. if these are the statement. So I want to just do the same thing, checking the conditions for each and every index of the current row. I'm just gonna copy this. I hope you guys don't have a problem with that, and I'm going to paste it here. I'm changing the symbol. I'm going to just do an X. This is the other player, not the first player. I'm gonna do this. Okay, this should be it. Now define. Check whether the game is over or not. I'm going to do an alert. Let me just copy this. It's going to work the same. It's going to just place the current player's turn here and declare it who won the round. Okay, I think I copied it this way. So it's gonna be just checking whether the game is over. If it's not going to execute this statement here, and it's going to continue checking for the rest of the rows. I want to confirm even in case it's all okay. I think was it row check, and I'm gonna call it. And I think we should just try. I think there's an error. Row is not defined in the line 36. Okay. Let me just confirm row or rows. Line 36. We have rows. We have to replace both the two instances. Good. Well. Oh, I'm doing columns instead of rows. I guess it's plus 0 is 1. Yeah. Let me just redo. I think there's something I missed. Okay. I'll adjust that later. Now you realize that it tells me the game is over later after the player has already, okay, the next player is already playing. Let me just confirm what is the issue here. Oh, okay, let me just do something here. You realize I called it only in this section without calling it here. I'm just going to also copy this function column, pasting it here. It should now work. Yeah, okay. The game is over. The player 0 is taking the place, the winning place. Let me just redo the other player. Let me just do an X. Let me just move randomly. Yeah, it says the game over. Player won this round. I think this should be good. I think we should be moving to column wise checking, and we start just making things work out just fine. Hold on. I'm going to now define a new variable. I'm going to call it column check. I'm just going to call it column check. It's an arrow function, and I'm just going to define the body. Yeah, this is the body. So I want to select all the columns. I think, did I declare columns? Oh yeah. So you realize that each and every element has either column 1, column 2, or 3. So you realize that column 1, this is the first square in the first row. Column 1 again is in the first column, the second row, and the first column. So I'm going to use these ones to select columns. I'm just gonna do. Give me a second. I'm gonna declare a variable, say columns. I'm just doing document that. Let me just do column 1, column 2, and then we'll see how it plays out. Query selector, all selecting the column 1. Yeah, let me just do the same for the next. two items. So we have up to column 3. So we have column 1, 2, 3. Let me just console log each and every one of them. Call 1, call 2, and call 3. So we have them here listed, each and every one of them. I am not going to go into detail, but it's already selected. I'm just gonna save. So I want to have an array with all the columns so that I can look through them and maybe check column by column whether there's a match or not. So I'm just gonna say all columns. Now I'm just gonna do all columns. And I'm going to just do an array, and I'm adding column 1, column 2, and column 3 to that array. This should be done for. Did I say call? Okay, it should be called that. And I'm going to just look through it in this function. I'm just going to test first which player we are working with, and I think I can do it later. I'm just gonna do a for loop, and I'm going to do that. So we can now check which player, if in case it is the player within the 0 turn, we can just implement that logic here. I'm just gonna do logic. And I'm going to do here. Okay, second player logic. So here, what I want to do is just work with the game over variable, testing the condition whether each and every square in that column matches the current player's symbol, either X or an O. So I'm going to do that. It's gonna do either return true statement or a false statement. So I'm going to just do columns. So
Hey, I'm so sorry. Our speaker's net, it's going down for the second time. Well, how far? Yes, Paminus Dan left us actually. How far we had implemented the logic for the row. Well,